Adver, which is going to be pretty fun, man. I'm excited to cast some games.
And there's going to be some nice, scary casts, some nice, scary end games, mid-game coverage going on as well. Going back to the Middle East is very interesting. I touched on what you and Lupo were touching on, the whole can they keep up internationally. I thought they did a bang-up job. It was very nice, fight dynamics, end game rotations. It was just got good stuff all around the board.
Yeah, it's one of those things, right? They weren't necessarily new to the scene. They just have a new kind of, platform to play on here. So to see all of the Middle Eastern region under one hub, that has been very exciting. And it's also important to note, some of these guys are playing out of Southeast Asia as well. So shout out to you guys. Trust me, you're not all just kind of clumped into this region. We get it. It's a combination of a bunch of different types of players and people from different regions of that area. So far, though, they have done a great job.
Yeah, talking predictions as well. I'm pretty sure we have the same predictions of Klops, Fiesel, and Hero Kappa, who are coming out on top right now. We saw them just come second in the last game. So even when the world is against them, even when in all odds they shouldn't be winning or gaining points, second is a big feat, especially with Elam's to boot on the side as well.
Yeah, for sure. When I actually did a VOD review over that trio specifically, they had some serious setups, and they were actually landing in the junction area. And I wonder if they're still playing it. I would assume so. I haven't quite seen the early game up there, so hopefully production can kind of look out for us and start us somewhere up north. It'd be cool to see, kind of if they're sticking to the plan from the last time I reviewed them, or maybe I spoiled all the surprises, right?
I mean, the big note about the trio is that they have had two partners, or they've had 4 people playing in total. They started with Hero, Fiesel, and Klops. Then they switched over to a guy named Flosa, who's also part of that Alter Ego org. And then now they've gone back to Hero, back to their, kind of natural dynamic of how they qualified in the beginning, how they kept on top of the leaderboards. And it's going to be interesting to see what they learned from the more aggressive style of Flosa, coming back to now the whole strategical, tactical, more launchpad, macro-oriented gameplay of Hero Kappa.
And you got to show some love to Hero Kappa. When we were checking out his gameplay, he was leading in frags, at least in the review that I did. He was really popping off. He was leading the box fights. He was getting the trades, setting up all the exchanges, and that's what you like to see in your trio. It almost makes me wonder, was he just AFK? Was something going on? Like, what's the story behind there? And that's one of the fun things when you're discovering a new region. It's learning, right? Learning about what these new players have to offer.
No, absolutely. Interesting factoid as well. The one thing that we saw was they actually used Hero for one of the open rounds and then switched to Flosa halfway in the in the semis to go to finals. So I'm not sure what these guys are doing, if it's a flexible pick, if it's the first who's actually just seen substitutes being used before, ever, right? Because we did see duos, partners switching off, but now when you have a whole team dynamic, subs come into question. So could it be that type of scenario? Or are they just looking to learn more things? Scheduling issues. It's going to be fun to see how it translates to when we're watching the games.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always so much to learn here. And again, it just kind of goes back to the question, who is going to come out on top? We have a lot riding on the stakes here as far as, our friendly rivalries, as you guys have seen kind of happen here. But anyways, there's our cast of predictions. You can see kind of what's going on. We're going to be leading right into our games, though. So, Klops, Fiesel, Hero Kappa, these are players we've wanted to look out for. We've talked about, Flame, Prime, and Hunter, right, as being a favorite for Sundown and Zeke. People to just look out for. And these are the teams we really want to watch and see if they can continue to pull that consistency throughout the weekend here today. But here's our game. Here's our map. We're loading in.
Starting fresh and early, everyone actually dropping out of the battle bus, just going to an overview of all the changes we've been seeing in Season X. We've got the Meteor, a nice floaty zone over there for people to take beams from and then drop down instantly. We have all these rift zones offering so many things in a risk-reward type of scenario. We have guaranteed pumps and tilted, but you can't build. So it's very interesting to see how people utilize that either early on fights or mid-game. Right now, we're tuning in straight into Retail Row for another throwback, Power versus ASMR.
Yeah, and this is a little bit of a rivalry here. So interesting to see that multiple teams are contesting for retail. It's one of those power POI spots. Not to, use the word power because I know the team has it in their name. But we're here. This is the place you want to own. And don't forget, guys, we're tuning in with the Middle East region from Heat 2 Game 4. So the action has been popping off all day long. And we're hopping right in. So this is the early taste of what is going to unfold here as our 32 teams are getting ready on the map.
Yeah, I'm talking about Heat 2 Game 4. There are only 6 games of Heat. There are only 2 heats in the Middle East region.
Yes.
So this is the back half of games that were happening across the world from us. At the moment, though, we're going to be tuning into, looks like another team at retail as well, popping through. Looks like there's going to be an early Elam getting knocked down. This house in particular as well, the doghouse, kind of connecting the residential and blacktop site, is kind of the place you kind of fight for control. Actually, this is actually Greasy.
We're in Greasy. I was going to interject, but you're kind of just on fire there. We actually hopped with another team. We're looking at Greasy here. So you guys know that taco time might happen at any given moment now. And the cool part about that is it starts to heal and regenerate health. And then at the same time, everyone's basically invincible. You cannot take damage during the time. But looks like, a little defense being played here by DS, Q, and DX. And he gets the exchange here. And that's why they're going to be able to successfully save Nijby. But again, the dancing happens. Which, by the way, it heals the down player.
Oh, for real?
Yes, so if you're down, your health comes back up. The only catch is if you're down in the storm, no one heals. And then at that point, it could be extremely detrimental. You don't want to go down during that time. But hey, if you're down, taco time can actually save you if you're on the other side. So pros and cons.
One big thing about early and mid-game fights is utilizing down players as kind of, strategic forces in an actual fight, strategic places to actually pressure people to come out of their boxes, to kind of control the way they move. So if you get to a safe space, no more timers there anymore, right? The taco time will come back up.
Hostage for a little bit, just kind of hold them up.
Absolutely.
Use that little bit of leverage to bait out a team, turn that into a winning situation for you, because one of the cons of going on offense is you expose yourself. You're out there, you're vulnerable, you're moving, you're typically not building. And in those situations, that's where you get traded shots. But here, we're looking at Retail Row. This is what we wanted to focus on. NM7, FHD, and Young specifically have been hitting some disgusting shots over the course of today. The heavy sniper we know to be a favorite on a few of these players. Most teams only run with one sniper. We've seen multiple players picking up snipers on this squad.
Yeah, the biggest thing about the sniper as a power weapon, as a win condition type of weapon to make moves off of, when you have shockwaves, you can see right now in the inventory, right? Let's just take this example. You only have 2 chances to use that shock. You miss with a heavy snipe, depending on your heavy ammo count, which gets found in much bigger, varieties of 7, 13 ammo spread around the map. You have so many more opportunities to land that heavy sniper throughout any point in the game. It's more expendable, which means you can play off of it so much more frequently.
That's right, and just taking a look here, Yonks is going to get a nice little power upgrade to the loadout there as he picks up a blue pump shotgun. So the confidence is in their favor. I'm not quite sure. They saw a little bit of aggro zombie movement, from the fiends here, kind of lingering about, and because of that, they were cautious. They knew a team was here when we first checked in with them. Seems like the coast is pretty clear, and now they're gonna focus on taking out the pylons here.
Yeah, one thing I actually wanted to talk about, we noticed Retail and Greasy coming in, right? We also made that little mistake with the houses. The big thing, though, to note about that, a lot of these house layouts are very similar when you're looking at it inside. And with new POIs, suppose you are a team that goes Retail and it's so contested. Moving over to Greasy and having that similar layout, knowing exactly how to play those buildings, and as well looking at what are the power buildings in the POI, how does that kind of change the way you adapt to it versus a team that's not their monster?
I mean, you absolutely need to know your layout. It's one of the perks of mastering a place and playing off a place for long periods of time. Now, let's just say if things were to just change or something new is to show up, that could be a big issue for some of the competitors. But hey, the best of the best adapt, and someone's gonna figure out how to make it work, right?
Absolutely. You get the experience of playing in Retail, apply it to Greasy, you might just get a whole new drop spot, right? Yeah, there's taco time. Hey, that's free shields. That's, as you said, the free utilization of having a knockdown teammate just staying alive. It's huge things you can play off of. We're going to be looking at a Polar Peak team right now. Also a very interesting POI that's been developed kind of in the meta game over this whole season. In the beginning, not many people wanted to land here, not seeing the actual potential of loot, as we did lose the big castle, but gained so much more map space and movement vertically around the map and actual sight lines towards Frosty, towards the cabins at the back, and even Happy Hamlet takes shots at people who are up here from Polar.
Yeah, Polar Peak has always been one of those power spots to hold. You have this super high elevation. You have loads of rotation opportunity. And you can see here, it's been so long since we watched early game. I haven't even seen a team execute a proper kind of float across to Big Tree like that, right? So these are the small things that I nerd out over specifically is rotations, figuring out how people play their drop spots and figure out their loose situations. Something cool to note, guys, you actually don't take fall damage if you were to fall off a high place with the hoverboard.
You've got all the factoids down, man. These guys,
I play a lot of
tips. Let's go, Monster.
Just something to think about. So don't panic, guys. If you ever want to really make an aggressive dive and push, it's actually a perfect opener to come in on the hoverboard. You are exposed, but you can jump off at any elevation, any height. And if you fail, it's okay. You'll be all right.
That's one thing you also pointed out on. It's actually Heat 1 Game 4 from the Middle East at the moment, which is a whole new slew of players that we're going to be seeing because we were watching Heat 2 previously, so we'll see how this Heat panned out, how the end games kind of differ. Before we saw a lot of top-down shooting vertically, not many people challenging it late at all, a lot of miniguns, a lot of AR spam. Once that 7th zone kind of passed, it was free reign for those people on height. It's just about how many points can you efficiently accumulate. So now we'll see what are some of the other different type of win conditions endgame monster that you've seen in Comp Fortnite.
Hey, I mean,
Wer ist in meinem Stream?
you see squads that execute zone 6 for high ground and then dominate, right? Put pressure down, dictate the pace of the game. You see other players that tend to kind of hold mid ground tower, hold down the shot.
Ich muss kurz was machen.
Andreas, am Joe was das Licht immer wieder ausmachen.
Das war nicht ich.
Irgendwann, der Luki war das gut.
Das war ich immer noch nicht. Geil! Ja, Leute, ich muss jetzt